we talked about this. I shared this with you, and then you brought up, yeah, when I read Dark Things Pass By, I thought of the Black Riders of the Nazgul from Lord of the Rings. And I said, whoa, goosebumps blew my mind. Um, but it is true. I said the Black Riders are shadows of their former selves, once great men who were consumed by greed, lust, power, ultimately consumed by sin. Sins are ultimately at their core a result of running from yourself or God, trying to pad life with comfort instead of doing the inner work, instead of acknowledging your fears, changing those negative belief patterns, into positive ones that serve you. The Black Riders could be a representation of generational or epigenetic fear or curses. They're long gone, but they remain and they influence the world and how people act. So I thought that was pretty profound. Um,
Like the ring wraiths.
And to
yeah,
bring it even further, what do? They try to stop Frodo exclusively. If you think of Frodo destroying the ring, that's his dharma, right? They try to wave him off the path. And if you think of these as epigenetic or things that are passed down, even little voices in our head that tells, you ain't worth anything. You can't do that. You want to be a comedian or you want to be a plumber, you'll never do that. You'll screw this all up or whatever you want to do. All those voices that we have in our heads that I think are passed down from generations of trauma. Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, and it's like those fears are irrational.
Mm.
If you really think about it, every fear is irrational. Are you actually scared of becoming a plumber? Like, are you scared of holding a wrench in your hand? Are you scared of working with PVC piping? You're not scared of the actual plumbing job. What you're scared of is that you'll fail, right?
Yes.
And you're not actually scared of that. You're just, again, projecting the possibility of failure into your mind. And with that, what comes with that? Oh, I'll fail as a plumber. So then I won't have money. I won't have safety. I won't have security. I won't have a roof over my head. I won't be able to feed my children. I'll get into debt. You're projecting the worst case thing, which is enough to put anybody into a state of fight or flight to activate that sympathetic nervous system, right? If you're homeless and you have children, you're stressed out, you're in survival mode. So you've just put yourself into that state mentally with your thoughts. Fear does not exist. It really does not exist. We have a warning light, and then we choose what to do when we see that warning light.
And
Fear is a word. It is a word. It's not, it has no control over you. It's a word that we use to describe a very large chain reaction of events that happens mentally and biologically within our bodies.
and you could look at it as like you were saying earlier a little bit, but more to the point because this popped in my head. But when you were talking about a danger, so you're walking around, you're in the woods, all of a sudden you see a bear. You see a coyote. There you go. You see a dangerous animal, right? And you have this reaction. So, yeah, you could call that fear if you want. But then what we really are talking about is when you're not in any plain danger or anything around you, right? But you're repeating this, you're turning your own check engine light on with your thoughts, like you were saying earlier. And something like that, because of our thought patterns and these negative thought patterns, we could just keep going. Like we talk about spiraling, right? And that's what really spiraling when someone's like, oh, they're spiraling out of control. I feel like that's what it is. It's just this process that's going and going. And I feel like that's really what anxiety is. I think unchecked fear leads to anxiety. It's basically the same thing. You could say fear is anxiety in the context that we're talking about it in with this creation of it in your own mind.
I've said that for 15 years now because I dealt with anxiety, crippling anxiety for many years. And I've always said that depression is when you're looking at the past or living in the past, and anxiety is when you're trying to control the future, which you can't because the future doesn't exist. The future is not here right now. All we have is right now. The future, how are you going to control it? You don't know what possible infinite number of outcomes, but you're trying to control it and get the one that you want. And again, why is that? Because you're scared, you're in fear of the ones that you don't want. So all these things, fear, anxiety, worry, they're all symptoms of negative patterns of belief. And the good news is that you can change those. Like when you understand that fear doesn't exist, it's just something that is happening. It's just a way to describe a a process that's happening in your head and in your body. Then you can change that, because a lot of our fears are dictated, led, sparked, reinforced by biological processes. You have two states of being that your nervous system can be in. You can be in the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight. They've added some on, or freeze or fawn or whatever. Um, and then your parasympathetic nervous system is your rest and digest. That's when you heal. It's when you digest your food. It's when you are able to relax. It's when your heart rate drops, your blood pressure drops, everything. That's a state that we ultimately want to be in at all times. But that sympathetic response is invaluable. That is when we see the coyote bear in the woods, and we have that dump of adrenaline, right? That's a survival thing. And it should remain a survival thing, because you're presented with danger. You either need to be able to run faster than the thing that's trying to eat you, or you need to be able to fight back and kill whatever is trying to eat you. It's purely survival. Okay. But people are now having that reaction to a negative comment on Instagram or Facebook. And it's no wonder people are scared of everything now. Like, they're living in this state of perceived fear because their bodies biologically are stuck in that fight or flight. That sympathetic nervous system has been activated and it won't shut off. That's the adrenal fatigue that everybody deals with. That's the burnout. That's all of it. So when you really understand that fear is in great part nothing more than a biological response that you are perceiving based on the thoughts that you are putting into your head, your body is reacting to those thoughts. That's why you can knock yourself right out of a panic attack, an anxiety attack. I've learned to do that. You do deep breathing techniques, and you have these, you can say them out loud, you can replay them in your head, you can have like a mantra that you say, just words of affirmation, words that calm you down, and do these deep breathing techniques. You can knock yourself right out of a panic attack in a minute if you want to, right? So obviously the fear doesn't exist. This is a process that's happening. You're projecting the worst case scenario, and then your body's going, shit, well, now we have to fight or run or do something because we're in so much danger. But you're not in danger. You're tricking your body to believe that you are in danger. It's a weird thing, but you can fix that. It's fixable. You have to learn how to calm your nervous system like that. And the way that you calm your nervous system, there are things that you can do physically, like you get some exercise, sweat, get your heart pumping, sit in a quiet room, sit on the ground with your legs up on a wall, going up the wall, take pressure off your lower back. These are all very helpful tools, but ultimately it starts in your head. It starts with those negative beliefs, and those negative beliefs were born from, drumroll, childhood trauma, usually. So you really have to go back and do that work and say, why am I scared of this? It's probably because you had a negative experience in the past when you were very young and impressionable and naive, and you didn't understand the world. But now you need to go back and you need to readdress that now that you have 20, 30, 40 years of life experience, and you are able to rationalize things, and you are able to look at things from a place of logic and not purely childhood emotion, you need to go back and revisit that thing that hurt you, because you'll see it from a completely different perspective now. And once you do, you'll be able to let it go. And then when you let it go, that fear is like a fart in the wind. It's gone.